So we've currently got the track Outsiders open right now, and we're going to be looking at the vocals. The vocals were recorded with the Behringer B Pro 3, or B Pro 2, sorry. I can't stress enough how good that vocal mic is. I'm very, very happy with the take and the tonality of it with my voice, which I'm now going to display for you. So starting with the main vocal, this is how this sounds. I'm just going to create a loop.
Around. You feel alone, yet you stay inside.
This is the dry vocal.
So unjustified to the world you owe to explore. What have you gone and done that for?
So honestly, like, I'm very, very happy with that, to the point that I've not even EQ'd the vocal here. I'm just left it how it was because I'm so happy with the sound of it, which is a first for me. So starting off in my chain, I've got the 76 compressor. This is based off a real life hardware compressor. For this, I'm not compressing it too much, just a little bit. I've got my attack quite slow and my release quite fast. I've done this majority just for the sound of the compressor and for balancing the levels just a little bit. Listen to that.
There it waits beyond that open door that you hide behind, creeping when no one's around. What a clown, oh.
So then next up from that, I've got another compressor which is a bit more fast acting. This is the Focusrite D3 compressor and limiter. I've got the release at 25 milliseconds and I've got the attack at 1 millisecond. But it's also on auto for both of those. The reason that I'm using the two is so that I can keep my dynamic range, like my level up with a 76, and then this one keeps like the words clear and at one level, but it still allows me to have like dynamic range without ruining that. To say, like, for example, if I just boosted certain words, it's like still natural and it still sounds, well, great in my eyes. So let's now have a listen to that.
What a clown.
One sec, just cut back to the beginning of the loop.
You feel alone, yet you stay inside, so unjustified to the world you owe to explore.
And then finally finishing up, I've got the Real Tape Saturator. The drive's quite heavy on this one because I really wanted that like old vintage saturated sound. And as well as this, I've got it on the Swiss setting. I haven't really touched anything else beyond that, so let's listen to that finally.
What have you gone and done that for? There it waits beyond that open door that you hide behind, creeping when no one's around. What a clown, oh.
So next up from there, I've got two reverbs going on. I've got the one on the left. This one's panned hard left. These are the ones I've used for the guitars, as mentioned in the other videos. And then one hard on the right. Oh my god. One moment. Just turn the samples down.
You feel alone, yet you stay inside, so unjustified to the world you owe to explore.
And then next up,
what have you gone and done that
I've got two room reverbs on that I've used.
For? There it waits beyond.
So one of them has a pre-delay on it, and that's so it like to give the vocals space, so like the reverb doesn't start instantaneously, and it replicates like the reflection of the room, which is always great on vocals in my eyes. And then finally, as well as that, I've also got the delay that I've used on the organ. So it's very, very short delay. It's a tape echo with a bit of saturation on, as you can see here, with the preset one hit wonder on, and then I've pulled back the milliseconds to 156 milliseconds, so it's very, very quick. And it just adds a bit of like percussion and tap to the vocal. So let's have a listen to
That
that.
open door that you hide behind, creeping when no
It's kind of like a slapback, you could say, and it just gives it that really like old worldy sound.
one's around. What a clown, oh what a clown.
And I've used those same delays and reverbs on all three of these vocal takes, just at different levels, which I'll come explain shortly. So the next one now is a backing vocal, I believe, that only comes in at certain parts. I purposely sung slightly away from the mic for this one, to ensure that I could get that more room sound. It uses the same compressors as the main vocal, so I'm not going to go through them, and it also uses the same reverbs, but the levels are much higher. So if I go to, say, like these reverbs, yeah, so like look at the difference. That's the one from the main vocal. If I move to the backing vocal, you can see the reverb is a lot bigger, so the amount of like swelling space is a lot larger. So let's play that. It's also panned slightly to the left. So yeah, very, very effective. Very like a large chamber. It almost sounds like a plate as well, with how like resonant it is. But I'm very, very happy with that. And then finally, just a bit of backing vocal that plays occasionally. I think it does once here. Let's have a listen. So on this part, it's just a breath. So that was the dry breath. And let's find another part where it sings. Oh, that's it. So this vocal is mainly for supporting the scream that comes at the end of the track. So my way of being able to do that is, first off, I've got an EQ that cuts the low end, dips in the mids, and also has a bit of a roll off on the top end. So anything below 100 Hz, completely cut off with a roll off. And then there's a 5 dB decrease at around 700 Hz. And then finally the roll off begins for the top end at around 6K. So first off, let's listen to the scream. Yeah, very, very crackly. But if I then add the EQ, let's have a listen now. Just adds a bit more control to it, I'd say. Which then, when I come onto this, I've added the compressor. The compressor is the 76, sorry. It's compressing a little bit more than it was on the main vocal and the other ones, because you really want that like compressed like sound. To add that like extra bit of distortion with the scream. And then from here I've got the saturator on, which is quite heavily driven on the Swiss setting. All the other settings are left as usual. And then from here we've got the normal verbs and delays, and then finally the same reverbs at the same level as the other backing vocal. So going from that dry screen, this is now what it sounds like. So we've got a bit more harmonics going on, which like creates that more like pitched scream sound that I was going for, similar to the style of like say like Jim Morrison, or even like the scream of like Chino Moreno of like Deftones, and then combining that with the main vocal scream, as well as the other backing vocal which sings something, creates this like this little like orchestra of vocals that all really work together. So I've got two screams going on and one like sustained note from the other backing vocals. So this is it.
Yet I'm here.
So yeah, that's it for that. I haven't got a noise gate on my main vocal, but I have cut out any of the silences that are unnecessary and there's a bit of noise. As you can see on the backing vocal, I've done a lot of like cutting. The reason I've done all this is to just clean up. You don't want like breaths and noises on your backing vocals. It's okay on your lead vocal, depending on the style you're going for, but backing vocals is a really no-no. I've also brought down the level of, as you can see here in dB, I've brought down the level of some of the parts. Maybe I was singing a bit too loud or singing a bit too quietly, so I've boosted it or I've cut it. And then finally, all this space here. The only thing on this final backing vocal is the breath and the scream, so I've just cut out any unnecessary space, put a roll off on it, roll off on all the ends, and yeah, that's it for my vocals for Outsiders.